guys ever wondered, what if Luffy was reborn with his memories and powers? Do you think he'll be able to achieve his dreams a lot earlier compared to the original timeline, or would things be entirely different? In this video, we'll see another timeline in which Luffy gets reborn with all his memories and powers. The story begins with Luffy watching his entire crew die in front of him. One by one, the people he called family fall. Luffy realizes that he made many mistakes during his life. He was too reckless. He was too weak to protect them when it mattered the most. As everything fades away, Luffy makes a simple wish. If he's given another chance, he would not repeat those mistakes. The next moment, Luffy wakes up. He quickly realizes that he's not in the afterlife. He's inside the body of a child. When he looks around, he sees a place he knows very well. It's Fusha village. Luffy understands what happened. His wish was granted. He's been reborn in the same world. Luffy still remembers everything from his past life. The adventures, the battles, and the terrible ending. This time, he promises himself that things will be different. His childhood mostly happens the same way as before. Luffy spends his days with Ace and Sabo. They run through the forests, fight bandits, and dream about becoming pirates. Garp still trains them in his own rough way. To everyone else, it looks like nothing has changed, but Luffy knows the truth. From a young age, he realizes that he still has some of the power from his past life. He cannot use his devil fruit abilities yet because he hasn't eaten the fruit, but he can still use haki. At first it surprises him, but soon he begins to practice it in secret. He trains when no one's watching. Garp notices something strange about Luffy. Sometimes, when Garp tries to punch him, Luffy moves out of the way at the last second. It almost looks like he knew the attack was coming. Garp finds it odd, but he doesn't think too deeply about it. Time passes, and the red-hair pirates arrive at Fusha village. Luffy knows that this is the moment when he's supposed to eat the devil fruit. In the original timeline, he ate it by accident. This time, Luffy eats it on purpose. He pretends that it was an accident so nobody becomes suspicious. Soon after, the sea monster appears just like before. But things end differently this time. Luffy acts faster and prevents the moment where Shanks loses his arm. Shanks still gives him the straw hat before leaving. Luffy now has a clear goal. He'll protect his future crew no matter what. When Luffy turns 17, he finally sets sail. But this time, he's not sailing for adventure. He's searching for his crew. The people who will become his family. The first person he goes to find is Zoro. Luffy doesn't wait for Helmeppo to play his cruel game. He walks straight into the marine base. A small wave of Conqueror's haki knocks out the guards, then he frees Zoro and asks him to join the crew. Zoro is confused, but he accepts. Soon, the crew travels to Baratie to meet Sanji. During this time, Dracule Mihawk arrives. When Mihawk swings his black blade towards Zoro, Luffy feels panic for the first time since returning. His body is already strong enough to use Gear 4 now. He knows he could jump in and stop the attack. And for a moment, he almost does. But Zoro stops him. Luffy gets angry at Zoro for not letting him fight. He tells him that he could have saved him from Mihawk's attack. But Zoro tells him that he wanted to test himself. We all know that Luffy is not smart enough to realize the butterfly effect. He doesn't realize that if he keeps protecting his crew and defeats everyone himself, his crew won't get stronger. Later, the crew reaches Arlong Park. In the past, Luffy waited for Nami to ask for help. This time, he doesn't. Luffy already knows her pain. He walks straight into Arlong Park alone. The fight instantly ends as Luffy defeats Arlong with a single Red Hawk attack. Even the Marines and his own crew are shocked by how easily he won. As their journey continues, the crew begins to notice something strange about their captain. Luffy still laughs and eats like always, but he also seems to be watching everything around them. It feels like he's always protecting them from something they can't see. When they arrive at Alabasta, the situation changes again. Luffy uses observation haki to quickly find the real crocodile. The battle ends before the war can spread across the country. Because of this, the kingdom is saved much earlier. Soon after, the crew meets Admiral Aokiji. When Aokiji freezes Robin, Luffy immediately becomes serious. He enters Gear 4 Snake Man without hesitation. The power of their haki shakes the entire battlefield. Ice breaks across the area as the two clash. Aokiji eventually steps back. It's not because he's losing, but because he realizes something. The boy in front of him is not a normal pirate rookie. Later, Aokiji reports something important. The Straw Hat is not just a rising pirate. He's already a monster hiding inside a young body. Eventually, the crew reaches Sabody. Luffy already knows what will happen here. This was the place where his crew was separated before. At the slave auction house, Luffy doesn't just punch the celestial dragon, his attack destroys the entire building. Chaos spreads instantly, and the Marines respond by sending Admiral Kizaru. When Kizaru arrives, Luffy turns to his crew and gives a clear order. They must return to the ship. He tells them that if anyone comes back to help him, he'll knock them out himself. Luffy then stands alone against Kizaru, the Pacifistas, and Sentomaru. Using Future Sight, he manages to dodge many of their attacks, but his body is under extreme pressure. Finally, Bartholomew Kuma arrives. In the past, Kuma separated the crew one by one. This time, Luffy stands in front of him and refuses to move. Kuma asks him why he's fighting something that cannot be stopped. Luffy answers with a simple truth. He's already watched his crew die once, he won't let it happen again. Kuma sees Luffy's determination and makes a different decision. He agrees to send the crew away to places where they can grow stronger, but he gives Luffy one condition. Luffy must go to Impel Down alone. Luffy agrees to Kuma's condition because he doesn't want his crew to get in trouble. He knows that if they stay with him, they will be dragged into the war that's coming, so he lets Kuma send them away to their training locations. Luffy then prepares for the next event he remembers, Marineford. This time, Luffy does not bring allies with him. He tells no one about his plan and goes there alone. When he arrives, the war has already started. Thousands of Marines and pirates are fighting across the battlefield. The moment Luffy steps forward, a massive wave of Conqueror's Haki spreads across Marineford. Around 50,000 soldiers collapse instantly. Even the admirals stop moving because they can't believe what just happened. Luffy doesn't slow down. He moves straight toward the execution platform. The soldiers trying to stop him are knocked away easily. Within moments, Luffy reaches the scaffold and breaks Ace's chains before the executioners can even react. But Akainu quickly attacks. Just like before, he throws a deadly magma punch toward Ace. When Luffy sees this, memories from the first timeline rush into his mind. He remembers Ace dying in front of him. At that moment, Luffy's will explodes with power and his Devil Fruit awakens. Gear 5 appears for the first time. Akainu's magma punch hits Luffy, but it simply bounces away like rubber. At this point, Luffy is strong enough to defeat Akainu. He effortlessly parries all his attacks, and with this, he manages to save Ace. After saving Ace at Marineford, Luffy becomes a legend. The whole world now knows his name, but inside, Luffy carries a deep fear. He remembers the first timeline where his crew died. Because of that fear, he trains harder than ever during the 2-year break. At the same time, he promises himself that his crew will never face true danger again. As the crew travels through the new world, things become very easy. At Fishman Island, Luffy defeats Hody Jones instantly before the palace can even be destroyed. Later at Dressrosa, Luffy defeats Doflamingo in just a few minutes. Zoro and Sanji barely get a chance to fight. To the world, the Straw Hats look like an unstoppable crew. But inside the crew, something slowly starts to go wrong. They're getting stronger, but they're not facing real danger. They're not fighting for their lives the way they once did. Because of that, they never build the same strong will they had in the original timeline. By the time they reach Wano, the gap between Luffy and the rest of the crew has become huge. Luffy now feels like someone far above everyone else. His crewmates are strong, but they've never been pushed to their limits. When the raid on Onigashima begins, the battlefield becomes chaotic. Luffy ends up fighting Kaido and Big Mom at the same time. This leaves the rest of the crew to fight the powerful officers of the Beast Pirates on their own. Luffy believes they're ready, but they are not. Without years of hard battles, Nami and Usopp can't keep up with their enemies. When strong officers corner them, they don't have the instincts to survive. They end up dying. Luffy defeats Kaido and Big Mom and becomes the strongest pirate in the world, but the victory means nothing to him anymore. When the battle ends, the crew stands quietly beside 2 graves. Nami and Usopp are gone. That's when Luffy finally understands his mistake. He tried to protect his friends from pain. He carried all the danger by himself. But by doing that, he stopped them from becoming strong enough to survive. After the war, things become even more painful. The crew begins to realize that they're no longer equal to their captain. One by one, the others begin to agree. They realize that they're just a burden on Luffy and they're holding him back. All of them eventually leave Luffy. At that point, Luffy has no purpose in life. He was reborn to protect his crewmates, but all of them have left him now. Luffy ends up surrendering himself to the Marines and gets executed without becoming the Pirate King.